Hello, and welcome to the Homeschool Conversations Africa podcast. Here, we discuss homeschooling from the African perspective and the unique challenges that come with it.
If you're considering homeschooling, we hope to inspire you as you take this bold step. If you're already a homeschooler, we are here to share encouragement for this wonderful journey we are on to educate our children in the best way we can. We are your hosts, Jifa Andam and
Carissa Neti Mabel.
Let's dive right into today's conversation.
Previously on Homeschool Conversations Africa.
So today we have with us a dear friend of both Carissa and me, Andrea Nelson. Andrea and her husband and their two lovely children are missionaries from America who've been in Ghana for a few years.
So while I had that percolating in my mind, Grace got to be school age, and to be quite honest, I kind of needed a break because I had a baby then at that time, and so we had a lovely Christian preschool down the road from our house, and so we sent Grace off to that, I think 3 days a week, and it gave me a little breathing space. And God was still working on me on this topic. And as we got involved in preschool, it was most of the morning, 3 days a week. And it wasn't just leaving her there. There were all these obligations to assist with the classroom and bring things to the classroom and go along when they did their field trips. And as time went on, I started to think, if I'm going to be this involved in Grace's education anyway, I might as well try. I might as well try it myself.
So Andrea, can you tell us a bit about what your homeschool day looked like? You kind of told us a little bit when they were younger, but your children are now a bit older, middle school, high school. What's that like for those of us who are not there yet?
Well, as I said, we started when Grace was 4, and things have evolved quite a bit since that time. In the early years, we would do our homeschool right after breakfast so that the day didn't get away with us and we somehow didn't make time for it. So it was our first priority in the day. We usually tried to have a circle time or a family time together at the beginning. I had the 2 students that were 2 years apart, and in large part, I treated them as if they were on the same level. And so we would do a little Bible study, have some memory verse time, sing a hymn, memorize a poem. We would start our day with that together. And then they would branch off into their maybe different levels of the spelling or their different math lessons because they were at a different place in those particular subjects. But we would do history together and science together. And so we started with our circle time together, and then maybe our subjects that were together, and then they would do their separate things, and I could be close at hand to help them with those. And we usually would finish before lunch. As things progressed, we continued to have our time together at the beginning of the day to do the subjects or the memory work or the review that we wanted to do together, and then they would branch off into their own subjects, and they became very good at working independently. So I feel very thankful for that because I'm not sure that every child could handle that very well. But my children have been pretty trustworthy, self-motivated. They want to do well in school. They are engaged with most of the subjects. So I've been able to give them some independence in that. When we moved to Ghana, we actually have a Christian classical school on site, and I was working as the child care director for the orphan care program. So we still did our morning time together. We did our subjects that we were going to do together. And then they actually attended a few of the classes in the school where we work and live. And so that was around 6th grade for Grace. And it was really gratifying to see that she adapted to that very well. So that is a more traditional classroom, about 18 students, and she had homework and tests, and she just really transitioned into what you might call traditional classroom work very easily. And so we did that with them for several years until she reached 9th grade, and then with college in mind for her future and being sure to prepare her well for that, we took her out of the school and began educating her at home again, but this time using self-paced online materials or video instruction or then live online classes through a couple different online schools. One is called Scholé Academy, one is called Veritas Academy, Scholars Academy.
Yes.
And so we've been really happy with how things have transitioned over the years. And really every year in the early years, we would evaluate at the end of the school year. Is this still working for our kids and for our family? Should we continue with this? And along the way, we had the opportunity to take part in some different co-ops and in groups to do some enrichment classes for the kids too. And Classical Conversations was another group in the U.S. that we really enjoyed. And I know they have an international branch and would love to have international chapters of Classical Conversations. So that might be an opportunity too in your areas.
Yes, that's true.
Andrea, can you tell us some things you and your children love about homeschooling? What have you come to really enjoy about it?
Well, we really love the freedom of our schedule, especially in the early years, and being able to pick and choose really high quality curriculum. Really, so many of the years we found that it did not take from 8 to 3 to do our homeschool curriculum. So it gave us much more time for the kids to pursue interests that they had and to interact with a wide variety of kids and families as we got together with people socially. I think one of the other advantages that I've seen is that having a son and a daughter, if they had gone off to a traditional school, they would have had their girlfriends and their guy friends, and they would have been in separate classes. And I'm not sure they would have been as close as they are now, since we have educated them all the way along together. It doesn't mean they don't disagree with each other and have their sibling moments, of course, but I do think that is one big advantage of homeschooling, is that you get a lot of time together as a family. And the way we can become so busy with school from 8 to 3 and then activities after that, I think family life has been very rich for us with a homeschool schedule. So that's been a wonderful thing for us.
That's a blessing. So that's a great lesson. I think I find that to be true even for my children as well. That even though there's a bit of an age difference between the youngest and the oldest, they're all still such fast friends, and they still do pillow fights together every night if we let them. And, yes, and they turn off the lights and they do disco dances in the bedroom. So it's kind of nice. It's really heartwarming to see them get along that way. Yes, and I am grateful for that blessing as well. So I think we're getting towards the end of our time here. We don't want to take your whole day. But before you go, we'd like to hear a couple of things from you. So we've talked about the things you love. We don't want our homeschoolers to think we're just presenting the positive sides. So we also want to know about any challenges that you've had home educating your children, and what you've done, how you dealt with it, or if you have dealt with it.
I think one of the biggest things that I've run into just for myself personally is how many hats I'm wearing in the home. So I'm a wife, and I'm a mother, and I'm an educator, and I have had a job in different capacities along the way. And I was in a homeschool co-op where I even was a tutor there. And so managing all the hats sometimes can become too much. So as a Christian woman, staying close to God in those situations is key, starting our day with the Lord. And also finding time to relax just with my husband or with my friends. And also getting organized. You know, we can do ourselves a favor by having a good meal plan, by having a good cleaning schedule, you know, kind of being more disciplined. And one of my friends who was in the play group we were in when the kids were very young, her name is Misty, and she has a blog called Simply Convivial, and she has mastered information about meal planning, and really just kind of organizing yourself from the inside out, and has some real good motivational podcasts, and I think she even does e-courses.
Yes,
so
I've seen some of Misty's stuff.
Yeah,
Really
so
good stuff.
And it's really practical and really helpful to keep our own attitude in the right place so that our children will see that, because we're modeling for them being an interested learner and also managing life well. And they get to see us firsthand every day, how we're going to manage all the things that are put in front of us each day. And so getting organized and having a good attitude about those things is...
No pressure there.
Oh, and we don't do it perfectly every day.
That's an understatement.
Right. Right. So I think not comparing too much with other homeschoolers is helpful.
That's great advice.
There's this great quote from Theodore Roosevelt that comparison is the thief of joy. And so we have our own children who have their own strengths, and we are our own homeschool moms who have our own strengths. And so we should stay focused on the plans we make and doing them well and adapting them if we need to along the way, and not be burdened with comparisons.
That's some great advice. Because we're not all the same. You know, our homes are different, our children are different. We want to work for somebody else. So that's some excellent advice. Thank you, Andrea.
So I guess we're just about wrapping up now. So do you have any advice that you want to give new homeschoolers, veteran homeschoolers, since you've been doing this for quite a while?
Well, I would just say enjoy it, because as a more experienced mom had told me when my children were very small that the days are long, and they are long, especially as a homeschool mom, but the years do fly by. So enjoy it. Another piece of advice a woman gave me very early on was that your children will learn in spite of you. So that was comforting on those days where I just really felt like things maybe didn't click, or I didn't have mastery of the material. As they get older, that becomes a challenge. You know, you're really sort of bluffing sometimes. And but they do learn in spite of you, and you know, even in those moments where they get to instruct their mother in some piece of knowledge or some subject, then they're learning from that too. So
you'll have to excuse us, dear listeners. I'm sure you've heard kids shouting, balls being yes. When you have 3 moms meeting and friends around and all that, you we have to deal with that. But I'm sure you all understand and can identify.
This has been such an interesting and insightful conversation. I know I've picked up so many things from Andrea today. We're so glad that you took us up on our invitation and joined us today. So thank you.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
Thank
you for inviting me.
For coming and bearing with us.
Yes,
Technical glitches.
And all that going on in the background.
Yes, we're glad you could come. Thank you again, dear listeners, for taking the time to stay with us and join us in this conversation. We hope that you've been blessed. We hope that you've been encouraged on your homeschool journey, or if you're not there yet and you are considering it, or even if you have kids in school, I'm sure there are some things that you picked up that you can still apply in your lives that will be beneficial to you, as we all seek to give our kids the best education that we can. Thank you again for joining us. Until next time, it's Jifa and
Harrison
saying bye, and God bless you. Bye.